Donald Trump's lawyers have finally gotten around to moving to disqualify Judge Tanya Chutkan of the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, the hateful, incompetent, and not too intelligent judge who is presiding over the trial of President Trump over January 6th. I've been in front of her. I wrote about her in my book, It Takes a Counter-Revolution, Wake Up America. In addition to being a hack, a political hack, she also apparently doesn't like whites very much. She attacked a fellow judge, Trevor McFadden, because he suggested to the Biden Justice Department they should be prosecuting Black Lives Matter protesters who did kill people and bust up property, contrary to the overwhelming majority of January 6 peaceful protesters. Now, Trump's lawyers filed this motion today on September 11th, and they used the wrong section, actually. I mean, it's fine that they used 28 U.S.C. 455, which is a general section when there was a showing of bias or the perception of bias, but they could have used 28 U.S.C. 144. And if Trump had sworn out an affidavit, the disqualification of Judge Chutkan would be automatic. However, that never happens because these judges refuse to obey the law. But what did she do that causes disqualification other than what I've just said? She told a peaceful January 6 protester who was being sentenced, I quote, "Nothing less than an attempt to violently overthrow the government by Trump's supporters who were there in fealty to loyalty to one man." And this is the most objectionable statement that she made in this sentencing to a peaceful January 6 protesters. It's blind loyalty to one person, who, by the way, remains free to this day. That means President Trump. It means that he should be locked up, that he should be convicted. This judge is disqualified to the extent that the head of The Exorcist would turn many more times than you saw in the movie if this doesn't happen. This, regrettably, is the state of our federal judiciary today. Judge Chutkan, to use the term judge loosely, extremely loosely, should have recused herself. It should not have gotten to this point where she would have to move to disqualify. But mark my words, she will not disqualify herself, and the equally compromised and corrupt judges of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the District of Columbia Circuit won't disqualify her either. This matter is going to have to go up to the Supreme Court. If the Supreme Court will hear it, it'll go to Justice Roberts. He doesn't have the guts to do anything. He's a closet leftist and maybe a closet in other respects as well. He's someone who's never been honest with the American people, not just about his role as the Chief Justice. To this day, he has not uncovered who leaked the Dobbs decision, that was the abortion decision, which ended abortion in all 50 states by virtue of Roe v. Wade. This is what we're dealing with in our legal system, and it's why it needs to be cleaned up. It needs to be started over. It's why we need a new government and not a new nation. It's why we have a Third Continental Congress that we convened in Philadelphia about 2 years ago, and it's continuing. And our delegates will be voting on whether we need to declare independence and form a new government, not a new nation. We have a great government on paper, but we don't have a great government in practice. And there are things about our Constitution that need to be changed. Small modifications. Federal judges should not be selected for life. Of course, they really aren't today, but that's the wives' tale that's being told. They serve for good behavior. They can be removed at any time. But the House Judiciary Committee, even under Republican control, won't do that right now. If she doesn't recuse herself, Judge Chutkan, then she should be impeached under these circumstances. But that won't happen. Mark my words, it will not happen. But here's what will happen, is that Freedom Watch will be conducting a citizens' grand jury. We will be seeking an indictment of Judge Chutkan for violating her oath of office. The fact that she's still on this case tells you she's in violation of her oath of office, and that is criminal in effect. We will seek her indictment. If and when we get the indictment, we will try her. We will then seek a conviction, and we will seek to have her sentenced. As an example, to the rest of the hack judges on the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia, who are persecuting not just January 6 peaceful protesters, but others as well. These judges think they are above the law. They think they can do no wrong. They know that no one will ever really challenge them from inside the establishment government. But this is why I started Judicial Watch back on July 29, 1994. I had seen this over and over and over and over again, that these judges on the federal bench, not all of them, there are some good judges on the federal bench, but there certainly isn't one good judge on the federal bench in the District of Columbia. I don't care whether they have been nominated by Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, George W. Bush, or his dad, H.W. Bush, or for that matter, Trump. In fact, just the other day, it was a Trump appointee, Timothy Kelly, who gave 22 years to Enrico Tarrio of the Proud Boys, and the guy wasn't even in D.C., and he wasn't violent. So, ladies and gentlemen, fellow patriots, the biggest cancer on our country today are federal judges, such as in the District of Columbia, who act as if they are above the law. And again, not all federal judges are bad. There are some good ones. They sneak through by accident. Because how do you get to be a federal judge? Generally through political campaign contributions. Not on merit, generally speaking, but which lobbyist raised enough money to get you on the bench? Which law firm padded the pockets of politicians to recommend you? There was one judge out of Rhode Island during the Obama administration that literally paid $500,000 for his judgeship, laundered through the senator up there, Sheldon Whitehouse. This cannot stand, because if we do not have honest judges that will mete out the rule of law, that will protect the American people, then what is the recourse? The recourse is violent revolution if we can't solve things peacefully and legally. And Freedom Watch is committed to peaceful and legal, which is why we have our citizens' grand juries, our citizens' trials. And that's why we will seek to mete them out by commissioning law enforcement to conduct citizens' arrests, as we are doing with Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, and James Biden for the bribery from Russia, Ukraine, and communist China. Go to freedomwatchusa.org. Join our cause, join our Justice League, contribute with tax-deductible contributions. We need more lawyers. We need to get bigger. We are your Justice Department, as I always say. The only Justice Department in government today is being run like a Gestapo. Thank you for listening to me. Remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me.